The Prophet Solomon's death. The Prophet Solomon's sovereignty continued in this way for 40 years. During that period, he never stopped thanking Allah. He never became spoiled by owning such wealth. During the 40 years, Allah made the most evil spirits work under the order of the Prophet Solomon. This was a great gift that wasn't really possible for anyone else. The Prophet Solomon used to make the spirits build cities and palaces and find pearls and shells in the sea. He also made them build castles, statues, pools and heavy pots for cooking in. During the period when the Prophet Solomon was alive, making sculptures was not considered as forbidden. Only the prophets and important persons' statues were made. It has been said that during the Prophet Solomon's time, big feasts were given to big crowds of people. He also developed his art of shaping copper and other metals, and was said to have made advances in architecture. The spirits worked under the Prophet Solomon's rule, even if they didn't want to. If any of them ran away, they would be punished afterwards. They would find themselves in a burning fire, even if they left the place. It was a common thought among the people that the spirits knew about the future. They thought the same thing too. Allah had showed them their weakness and unworthiness during the time of the Prophet Solomon. It would be proved later on that they didn't know anything about the future with the death of the Prophet Solomon. The Prophet Solomon had ordered a big temple to be built during the last years of his life. One day the Prophet Solomon was leaning on his walking stick and checking how the spirits were working. The temple was nearly finished, and the spirits were very tired of working and wanted to take a break. However, when they saw the Prophet Solomon checking on them, they couldn't dare to stop. At that moment, the angel of death had come and taken the Prophet Solomon's soul. The spirits, who thought they knew the future, thought he was still alive and carried on working. This situation went on for days. Then a woodworm started eating through the Prophet Solomon's walking stick. When the temple was finished, the worm had finished eating the stick. The stick then broke and the Prophet Solomon fell down from where he was sitting. The spirits and the people only then realized that the Prophet Solomon had passed away a long time before. If the woodworm hadn't eaten the stick, no one would have known that the Prophet Solomon was dead. After this event, the spirits said amongst themselves, "If we were able to tell the future, we would have known that the Prophet Solomon had passed away. It is now certain that we cannot see the future." Lessons to be taken from the Prophet Solomon's life. The Prophet Solomon was a good example and consolation for those who lose everything they have. There is also a lesson to be learnt for those who take pride in their wealth. When the Prophet Solomon passed away, he left all of his wealth and sovereignty behind him, which will happen to everyone else too. The Prophet Solomon would travel a distance of 2 months only in a day by riding the wind. Today, many things have been invented by discovering and using the principal laws created by Allah, like rockets, helicopters and planes. According to the Holy Quran, one of the things that strengthened the Prophet Solomon's sovereignty was the fact he could melt copper and make many things. That inspired humans to search for other metals and use them in different areas. The Prophet Solomon knew the language of birds as a gift from Allah. He made them work in his army according to his talents. The bird called the hoopoe was appointed to search for water and bring messages. The scientific advances of today have proved that the sound of the animals can be used in beneficial ways. The Prophet Solomon, again as a gift given to him by Allah, made the spirits and demons work for him and made them do good things. We can say that it is possible for other sensible beings than humans to serve humans, and it is possible to communicate with them too. The way to do this is to develop oneself both spiritually and morally.